Hello, my name's Ram Chilarege, and I want to share with you as to what the one-day ODC review does. Many engineers, architects, executives may have heard of ODC, but the questions that loom before us before we get into initiative is why ODC? What does it do? How does it work? And most importantly, what value does it bring? So these are the very questions that this one-day review is designed to answer. Let's briefly start with why ODC. Software engineering is an inherently complex operation. And in spite of all the methods, tools, and techniques that we have, there's always the question of how do we get more efficiency out of it? How do we improve its quality? How do you make it faster? So architects and engineers would think, we've got Scrum, we've got all the new development tools, we've got static analysis, we've got this and that, and everything that money could buy that we could afford. And yet, the difficult question is, what are the right choices to make, given the specific product we're building and the specific nuances of the development process that we have chosen to implement? This requires insight from the very development process and product that we have. ODC does precisely that. ODC is designed to extract information from the current development process, and it uses defects to do that. That's just one of the methods of extracting information, and it's a very, very powerful method. And what that does is that it extracts semantics from the very human operations. Defects are a very natural consequence of any intellectual activity, especially something like software engineering. And defect really is any change. And from those semantics, it turns them into a measurement from which you can actually get analytics that give you the insight. This is very similar to what our doctor friends have with them, which is the MRI machine. I mean, they know how the human body works, but every human is different. And the ailments that actually trouble a person is going to be different from somebody else. While we know the basic theory of how it works, one needs insight into how this particular human body is working. We'd rather do that before we cut it open and take a look inside. And ODC does precisely that. It takes information from the current process that's almost always there and turns them into pictures that an analyst can look at and explain what is happening and why it's happening. And that's the genius of ODC. So with that, we still have to make our own decisions. Engineers and managers still have to go and weigh alternatives, but it gives you a tremendous amount of information that we otherwise did not have, and that makes the basic difference. This one-day review is designed with 5 segments in it. The very first one is concepts. And we cover the basic concepts of ODC, so everybody in the room has a very clear idea of what ODC is and what it's not. And with that, we have enough of the knowledge to examine an ODC case study. The case study is a real customer situation that is sanitized that allows us to understand how a particular release management issue was diagnosed and then solved, saving, of course, huge amounts of money and time. Once we have covered the case study, people really get an idea, okay, now this is how ODC works and this is the kind of information we can get from it. We then cover 2 applications. ODC has numerous applications. We cover test effectiveness and root cause analysis, 2 of the very commonly used, very valuable applications. While you can do both of them without ODC, this shows you as to how ODC makes it much faster and gives you much more insight. Once you have covered the applications and one gets a sampling of what ODC can do, we are ready to discuss deployment. How do we bring this technology into an organization? Do you start with the project? Do you start with the organization? What are the choices? What are the costs involved? What's the support structure that we need? How do you roll out ODC? What are the stumbling blocks? Where have people gone wrong with implementation programs? And so forth. Once we have covered the deployment module section, we have a roundtable, which is the last segment, where we discuss with the audience as to what individual project situations people have in the room and how might ODC be applied to them. This is also an opportunity to discuss nuances about ODC, extensions to ODC, where does it work, where does it not work, what are good candidates, and so forth. This one-day review gives this group a fairly detailed insight into ODC, and you're ready to go and make decisions about it. It's not a training program, but it's one that allows you to gain enough insight to design and plan your ODC engagement. We'll look forward to seeing you in one of these classes, and hopefully we'll get to discuss this in greater detail. Thank you very much.